Okay, yeah. Everybody on the Zoom, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
All right. And so, I am making changes on the fly to our agenda, but that's all right. So the board, actually, let's do a quick, intro thing first. So welcome to the September 2023 meeting of the Patterson Park Neighborhood Association. My name is Ernest. I am the president of the Neighborhood Association. There are several of our board members here as well. So in the room, we have Kelly Poole, VP of the South Sector, and Elena Huang, who is our secretary, and she's also going to keep me on track with time. And then on the Zoom, I see, is there sound? Well, we've tested before and we've been able to hear people's voices. In fact, Lindsay Thompson, would you mind unmuting and saying something?
Hey, I'm Lindsay, VP West.
Nope. Oh, okay. No, there's a problem. All right. Let's try connecting that again. Is it connected to the speaker? Yeah, should be. Oh my God. It's not. You sure? No, here. All right. I thought I had this all down.
Test, 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 test. Hello?
Okay, I'm sorry. I am not sure what is going on there. I'm gonna keep going, and unless the sound spontaneously resolves itself, those of you who are on Zoom, you might have to just communicate with us by using the chat function. So I'm very sorry about that. I don't have time to figure this out right now because our time is always very tight. We have to get out of here by 8. Anyway, so going on with introductions. On the Zoom, we also have Lindsay Thompson, who's the VP of the West Sector, and Lindsay Graham, there we go, Lindsay Graham, who is the VP of Patterson Place Sector. So that's those of us who are here. Now, yes, welcome, Ash, and Ethan told me that you would be here. Ash, just curious, when did you start at Councilman Cohen's office? Yeah, yeah, welcome. All right.
Hey.
So, I think I will instead start with what the board has been up to. So, we basically during the summer, we thought to ourselves, we've been having a lot of meetings, but it's time for us to actually do stuff. And so we gathered as a board to look at some grants and see what we can apply to. And we're going to talk about some of those with you now. And hopefully this will inspire some of you to get involved. And we have everything from, low commitment, one-time activities to longer term activities. I guess I'll start with the one that I'm working on, which is the Be More Beautiful grant, micro grants actually. Those are small, several $100 grants to buy supplies for trash cleanup. Now,
For the what?
trash cleanup. Now this is. That's the speaker turn. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't belt that loud.
Maybe it's low battery. It should be. Definitely. Okay. Someone on the Zoom say something again?
Hello, can you hear me?
It's working.
Okay. I have no idea what's going on here. All right. Well, now we can hear you. So now you can just start talking instead of waiting for me to notice you on the chat. All right. So trash cleanup. I'm gonna say right now, I took this one because it is the smallest one and because like as the president, I have a bunch of stuff on my plate already, but. We will apply for these grants and we'll be able to purchase supplies like gloves, rakes, bags and things like that. And it's just going to be for us to go out and clean up an area. So if there are areas where you really think that we could use a trash cleanup, let me know. And then we will arrange for, to gather some people together. Obviously, like we would like you to participate in that too, but if to the extent possible, we would also like you to recruit some of your neighbors to also do the cleanup and have a little get together there. So those are our trash cleanups. We are working on longer term solutions because we obviously see people dumping illegally. And we're working on some of those, but those are much longer term. We still need to do some strategizing about that. Another grant that we are looking at is, Kelly, do you want to talk about the trees or do you want me to talk about it?
I mean, there's a neighbor who would love to get some trees on their block, and so I was doing some research on some grant opportunities for greening, and there's looks to be like a really good one through BGE. They're very supportive of greening and eco-friendly.
Does that include container trees? Like if a block doesn't have any
It wasn't specific on what the requirements were for planting of the trees, nor the dollar amount they're willing to offer.
Okay.
I'm happy to email you the link to it.
Okay.
One of the projects that we were hoping to do was to do a tree census. So it's a lot easier if people can just look down on their block and say like, we have a tree here, we have a tree here, we have a tree here. And then it can count like the number of trees that there are and where might be more greenery. And then you can apply for like a bulk grant as opposed to just one tree at a time. So if anybody is inclined to just look down their street and say, we've got a tree here, we are trying to make a little map of just the trees around the area that already exist, specifically the ones that are in the sidewalk and tree pits.
And I will say that this grant is going to be covering, when we get it, it is going to cover digging new pits, which we learned about the process. And there's a city agency that goes out and checks to see like, okay, here's the gas line, don't dig here, stuff like that. So we learned how that's done, and then it's just a matter of finding the equipment to dig it out and then finding some people with strong backs to break it up and dig stuff up. Is there anything else to be said about that? No? Okay. So if you are interested in getting involved in planting trees, talk to Kelly, because I don't, yes, we are doing this for one particular neighbor, but if we're gonna do it for one, we might as well do it for many. Lindsay Thompson, would you like to tell us about some of what you are working on?
I would love nothing more. All right, so we have a few things. I think by the end of the year, we'd like to file for the grant with the Mitzvah Fund, which is a very small grant that helps with our organization's sort of gap expenditures. So paying for Zoom, those types of things. So that's one grant that we're hoping to file by the end of the year. The second grant that we talked about, Be More Beautiful, Love Your Block, which is an ongoing sort of grant. I'm currently, Ethan had done a project for us to see areas of concern regarding trash. And at previous meetings, we had discussed some trash issues, specifically closer to Highlandtown. There was a walk done and such like that. We talked with DPW about possibly adding trash cans. I'm currently in the process of pricing cans and the installation, and I've emailed Yolanda at DPW to see if there what the locations would be on that side for them to add to DPW route pickup. So that's in process, and the hope for that is that we'd be filing for a grant by the end of the year to pay for those trash cans, and that we can work something out with Yolanda to do pickups of those additional trash cans. So that's the second one, and then the third one, we're in the very beginning planning stages of pricing, talking to the city about permitting, but ultimately using the Baltimore Community Foundation, the William G. Baker Grant, and the Baltimore Office of Promotions, Promotion of the Arts, to do something that we have yet to title, but basically that would be very similar to like a Philly Porch Fest situation where we would have community artists like volunteers playing around the neighborhood with a sort of route for everyone to walk and listen to our local artists, whether they be professional or not. So basically what we're doing is right now I've emailed special events with the city and figuring out what the best path forward would be. We're taking that sort of one step at a time because we've got to get a budget together, and then what we will need is volunteers as we form the full plan to help with vendors, help with musicians, help with people who will volunteer their stoops. So we will be asking for that coming soon. We're going to make a post for people to respond to if they can sign up to volunteer either in a committee or on the day of. And our goal for that is to apply for a grant to help for some funding to do signage and marketing promotions and stuff like that. But ultimately, the goal for that would be next fall. So that's the things that we started getting in the works, and we will update you meeting by meeting.
Okay.
That's all I got.
So you're the kind of person who really enjoys putting together social events. This might be something that you want to be involved in. I think this is really cool. It's sort of, we haven't had an event that leads people to go take a tour through the neighborhood in a while. So I'm just imagining, and Lindsay Thompson was talking about like musicians standing on someone's stoop and performing, and I just now thought of this, like, it can be musicians, it can be other people, magicians, caricature artists, people like that. So if you know anybody who's willing to potentially perform, or actually probably the best thing to do first is before we get too ahead of ourselves, if this is something you would like to get involved in, contact Lindsay. And come to think of it, I'm going to ask Elena, because you're in the Zoom right now, if you could just type into the chat the email addresses for each of us, me, the president, Kelly, who's VP South, and Lindsay, who's VP West. And that is a longer term process, like Lindsay was saying, that is more August or September 2024. Part of the reason we haven't nailed down a date is because we're talking to friends of Patterson Park and saying, hey, we don't want to conflict with anything you're doing, so let's figure that out. Okay, and then this is not really something that you can get involved in, but I want to brag on behalf of Lindsey Graham. So we have this green space on Bradford, which was a vacant lot, and it was owned by various people, and the whole history of ownership of that lot is really complicated. But the end result is that we were able to, and this is really driven by Lindsey Graham, I was only peripherally involved, but we were able to form an LLC in order to buy that property for a little bit. And then we received a grant from Baltimore Community Foundation in order to have that land be purchased by the Charm City Land Trust in perpetuity as a green space. And so if you ever find yourself on Bradford over on the west side of the street, go take a visit. It is now a public green space. And we have plans now to Lindsay is talking, this is, again, Lindsay is in charge of this. I'm only peripherally involved, but we've got plans to plant some native green life, something that's gonna be low maintenance, probably clover, in order to keep it, you know, as a green space for everybody to use. I think this is just really extraordinary and really, just a sense of what we can do when we really put our minds to it. So, yeah, come on over and take a visit to the Bradford Green Space sometime. Lindsey Graham, did I cover all of that? Was there anything else you wanted to say about that?
Oh, that's great. Thanks so much, Ernest.
You're really quiet, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I'm a little sick.
Okay, that's better. Those of you who know Cheryl Bryant, by the way, she is the director of Charm City Land Trust, so she was involved in that as well. Okay, does anybody have any questions on the projects that we've got coming up? Okay, well, if you want to get involved in any of that, those of you who are in the room or those of you who are in the Zoom, just send an email to one of us, and if you email, you know, if you email the wrong person, don't worry, we will forward it to the right person. We'll make sure you're set away.
And I do want to flag that the email addresses have not been updated. The names are not congruent with the people that actually own them anymore, but the people that I flagged as owners of those email addresses, that's who you're talking to.
The email systems are weird. So sometimes when a new person gets elected, every once in a while, I still send out an email and it tells me, hey, it says you're Dave Workmeister. And I'm like, I changed everything that I could. So I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so those are, and let me just. Sorry, I saw some chats and I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, oh, thanks, bud. All right. So with that being said, we have a guest here, yes?
Yeah.
Hi, Jane.
Hi.
I'm glad you can make it.
Yeah.
Jane, of course, is, actually, what is your position at PPC?
Great. So, and my colleague, Miguel Cervantes, also is gonna be joining me as well, but my name is Jane Lunenfelser, and I am the executive director of the organization currently known as Patterson Park Public Charter School, Inc., which is the nonprofit operator of the Patterson Park Public Charter School and now Clay Hill Public Charter School. So we are in the process of changing not the school's name, but the organization's name to Bluebird Education Network, because it will speak to both schools. So the school name will stay the same, but the nonprofit operator will change.
And real quickly, oh, hey, there he is. Real quickly, were you, people on Zoom, were you able to hear Jane? Was she coming through clearly?
It is quiet, but I can hear.
Okay, so Jane, I would say maybe the best thing for you is actually move to, because the microphone's over here. So
Oh,
maybe the best thing for you is actually just move over there and just project it.
move over there? No.
Yeah, just right.
Oh, in the front, got it. Got
The
it.
microphone is right there.
Are we gonna check? About here?
Yeah. I wish I had a wireless, but well,
No, that's
it's all
okay.
just donated anyway. Okay, and we'll give you about 15 minutes. So the floor is now yours.
Oh, well, that's plenty of time. I already introduced myself. Do you want to?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Miguel Valtorn. I'm the principal at Patterson Park. This is my second year there, and I'm also a proud parent of a 4-year-old that started pre-K. This is my, I want to say, well, this is my 15th year in Baltimore City, but about my 12th year living in Butchers Hill. And I have a 7-minute walk to work every day. I'm excited to be here. I think we've been trying to come here ever since last year when I first started at Patterson Park. Just things kept coming up, but I'm glad that we're here just to be able to connect with this group and be able to build a little bit more.
Excuse me a minute, for some of us who are older and can't
Yeah.
quite hear, if there's nothing going on the screen, could you stand up and say, tell us what you're doing? Because please, sitting down is maybe good for them, but I need a little
Okay.
ear.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And tell me, give it a thumbs up if this is better.
Yes,
Yeah, all right.
thank you.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Miguel Belfaro, and I'm the principal at Patterson Park Public Charter School. This is my second year there. I'm also the proud parent of a 4-year-old. She started pre-K, there at Patterson Park. This is my 15th year in the city, and I've lived in Butcher's Hill for about 11 years. I want to say 12 years. And I have a 7-minute walk to work. So I walk to work every morning and walk home in the afternoon. And I'm excited to be here with all of you. I know I've met a couple members of the group in previous conversations about safety around the neighborhood. But I'm excited to be here with all of you to connect and just build a little more of a relationship and how we can best, work with this group.
I also forgot to mention I'm also a parent, so my oldest is a 3rd grader. At Patterson Park, and my youngest started kindergarten last week, so 2 kiddos. I know, 1 drop off, it's very exciting. Yeah, so I think
So speaking of drop off.
speaking of drop off.
Yeah,
We primarily wanted to, and thank you so much, Ernest, for making space. As Miguel mentioned, we wanted to come get back to PPNA for a while. Obviously, the pandemic hit schools pretty hard. And things have been a little bit busy and post-pandemic life, but I feel like we are settling back into a new normal, which is great. But we really wanted to come because we know there were some concerns around drop off and pickup and traffic. We did have a chance to meet with a group of neighbors last Thursday. Folks who live on North Lakewood and Belmore and Fairmount, so some of the streets most immediately surrounding the school. I think we had a good conversation about some of the pain points of being neighbors around the traffic zone of the school, and as well as some short-term and some long-term solutions. But we also just wanted to make sure that we, came here as well, see if there were any, other thoughts, questions, ideas, could be traffic related. Maybe it's stuff that didn't necessarily come up in that conversation, or anything else related to the school that you want to be on our radar.
so I think that before we open up for discussion, maybe we want to introduce the topic because not everybody here is an avid reader of Patterson Park Neighbors Facebook page, which is kind of how I heard about this.
Yeah. So somebody had posted something on the Facebook page, but really it, traffic happens around schools at drop off and pickup time. And we service 724 students. We are a citywide public charter school, so many of our students are from the neighborhoods most immediately surrounding the park, but some are not. I put myself in that category. We live in Remington, so we drive every day, as some other families do as well. And so some neighbors were pretty frustrated with traffic during drop off and pickup. We saw the chain in the post. We wanted to be responsive and make connections. Thankfully, one of the neighbors reached out directly, so we were able to schedule a meeting last week with some folks, hear from them about their concerns, some of the things that they find most challenging: horns honking, double parking. I think those are kind of the main pieces, and start to kind of work to collaboratively put some solutions in place. Is that?
Sure. Yep. And can you tell us what came out of those conversations?
Yeah, I think short term, well, and anything that I'm missing too, or
Go for it.
okay. I think short term things we had already gotten the works last week before the conversation. We had each of our back to school nights, and so during our back to school nights, we just went over basic expectations. Don't double park, you're going to get a ticket. Like, please be respectful. We live, we exist in a neighborhood. Some of our neighbors work night shifts, they're sleeping early in the morning, like, please don't honk, if traffic is taking a while, like all those things about just being a good neighbor and a good citizen. We reiterated that for all of our parents at each of our back to school nights. And then we also talked about short-term and long-term solutions. So short-term enforcement. So Mr. Del Toro's had traffic enforcement out for the last couple of days intermittently, and unfortunately, I don't like to have people get tickets, because they are very pricey tickets. But that is a deterrent, very hefty deterrent, so we talked about that. We've talked about adjusting, duty posts and staffing, just so that we have strategic presence in different places with specific roles for those places. We talked a little bit about crossing guards, petitioning the city for additional crossing guards. So that's a little bit more on the longer term solution, because we don't entirely have control over that, but we can start to advocate for that. And then we're having some conversations around identifying kind of a drop off or a pickup zone. So we are between 4 city streets. There is no, when I compare it to our second school, Clay Hill Public Charter School, which is in Bayview and has a parking lot that surrounds the entire campus, right? They have a way for cars to pull in, drop off, and circle all the way around the campus. We don't have the luxury of something like that. And so trying to identify, like, how do we create a drop off or a pickup zone? There are some designated areas, but, we haven't really been using them as that. So I think that's probably longer term work. Is there
Yeah.
anything major?
Yeah,
missed
no, I
there?
think the one thing we talked about, and something that we talked about before in terms of partnership, even like installing cameras around the school and making those available so that we can deter crime in the neighborhood. In the same very, in the very same vein, like thinking about creating like a group of us, like whenever we see anyone in the neighborhood not driving carefully, being careless, violating traffic laws, to like really report those to traffic enforcement, for there to be traffic enforcement presence in the area, especially at the times of drop off and pickup. Because sometimes what we realize is it may not be people dropping off or picking up. At times you find that drivers do get caught up in the congestion of drop off and pickup, get frustrated and drive very carelessly around and or are not safe. And so whenever we see that, that we as a community, right, do make the call, because whenever there is sort of a unified body saying, hey, this is not safe, we need additional support, that then we get that attention to the area, and then it makes it safer for everyone, for the neighbors, for the students, and for staff that are all in the neighborhood.
We'll open the floor to questions and comments from either online or in the room.
Hello, so have you had a lot of complaints about this? Is that why we're here tonight with you, telling your story? You've had some complaints, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we saw concerns raised on the Patterson Park neighborhood.
There's a Facebook page called Patterson Park Neighbors that is not actually ours. It's for everybody around Patterson Park, including Highlandtown and Butchers Hill and Upper Fells and so forth. But anyway, yes. I first became aware of it because of a Facebook page, Facebook post. I don't know if other people were reaching out to you offline as well.
Well, I think the neighborhood originally posted,
Okay,
then reached out, and so we were able to schedule a meeting with her.
okay.
They should go where I live on Linwood Avenue with Hampstead Hill, because that is really a problem at 3 o'clock when those kids get out of school. But I live far enough away from you, I don't understand that. Okay, my second question is this: do you have a music curriculum at your school?
A music curriculum?
Yeah. Your music.
I'll let you answer the program.
Yeah, we have music curriculum. We also have a partnership with the BSO, and they come in and do music instruction for our youngest learners, and they also do exposure to different instruments. Like they call it the instrument farm, I want to say, where they bring all kinds of instruments and they let the children explore them.
Is that part of OrKids? I'm
Yes,
a member of
it's
that. I want to talk to you about this afterwards, please.
Okay, yeah.
1 second. Yes. So Lindsay Thompson, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I was just thinking, and I don't know if this is maybe already been done, but if a lot of the people on Canton Neighbors, I get that they came and you guys had a meeting, but I didn't know if there was like a post made to say like what the meeting resulted in, or if we should do that, just to spread the news, but just a thought.
Yeah, thanks. I can probably take a look over the notes and then, yeah, share that back on that same page so that people are aware.
Yeah, that might help you guys a little bit too with the flack of it, you know?
Yeah.
And if you send that to us, we would be happy to send that out to everybody on our list and to social media as well.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Go ahead. So thanks for being here, first of all. I live on Kenwood with my wife. I see the traffic all the time, and from what we've seen, it's usually people who are not dropping off kids that are a problem. It's people that are caught up in the congestion and are upset that the pandemic is over and kids are back in school. And so my hope is that as, clearly they don't have children if they're upset about that, but my hope is that as people realize this is the new traffic pattern on school days, they will reroute their traffic and hop somewhere else. But
because that's what we did. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't drive to work a whole lot, but if you drive with me, we just don't go down the street.
so goes by.
Yeah.
We've seen the right, and so it's like, I don't know.
You can make changes. So I guess, well, from what I've seen living there, it does seem like it's people that are not actually dropping off kids that are really driving aggressively. So I would just want to be mindful of creating punishments for parents, sometimes who are overworked, when possibly the culprits of some of this harm are people driving, not realizing there are children.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I do think the idea of crossing guards makes a lot of sense to me as like, that is the like visual symbol, the like what traffic calming, where you have like a person in that's bright, that's, you know.
Yeah.
I also guess wonder if there are traffic calming things that like, right, long term, like that could be helpful, like around those areas.
Yeah, and we talked, the idea of having a school zone
Yeah.
sign, like
Yeah.
even before you enter the area, to kind of forewarn drivers, and like you're entering a school zone, there's children, slow down, be mindful, pay attention.
Because especially on like Fairmont, like you don't see the school at all, right? Whereas on the other streets, you know, at least you see, you know, you do see the school, but on Fairmont, there's no like nothing that says.
visual representation is a reason for traffic here.
I'm gonna turn you to the screen again. So Eric, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I have my son here. It's his first year actually going to Patterson Park charter, so he has started kindergarten this year. But as a parent dropping off, I have seen a difference just within the last 2 weeks with dropping off, where there are some teachers that are standing out there and they're actually guiding the kids in. So I actually came with my son last week, and I did like the fact that the teacher was there, opened the door and walked him to the line outside, and she actually came back and basically went to the car behind me and started trying to get the line to move. So I think that's one thing. I don't know if you guys discussed that and implemented that plan, but that's one thing that I do like, and I want to commend you guys on making that change.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we talked about like, how can we, sometimes you have to watch it all happen to really see the pain points, you know, because they are little micro things that then have a ripple effect. And so that just getting more staff members out, help kiddos out of the car, because we know parents probably want to take their kid right to the door. But if they feel like they're maybe leaving them with a trusted adult to get them to the door, then they're not going to leave their car double parked. So, yeah.
I saw another hand up, but maybe we answered your question. I think it was Amy. Did we answer your question? You know.
Well, I was just going to add to it. I did see, and for Jane and Miguel, I was at the meeting last week. I'm on Fairmount, and I did see an officer out there today. So thank you for doing that. And I just want to say, I think that it needs to be a consistent plan of attack to correct this, because I mean, on Monday, I asked someone to not park in the crosswalk because then other cars were double parked and I got cussed out, and the parent was driving and cussing at me up the street. So, I mean, it's also not the parents that are being the safest. So I think we all need to just be understanding that, yes, we need to be patient, but at the same time, we can't make things unsafe by parking in crosswalks and blocking the road for everyone else. So But thank you for your efforts so far. I appreciate you even listening and showing up. That's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be respectful, I think that's what we're trying to really reiterate too, is like, we all have to coexist, so, you know, somebody reminds you not to double park, move your car, you know? It's not open.
So I think the last comment we'll take, Denny, I've seen your comment and I will address that in just a moment, but I think you both can see this comment from TG. If you would like to respond to that.
Yeah, double parking on Lakewood.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, yeah. go
And
ahead.
that is something that we have shared with our families around being one, respectful and following all traffic laws for the safety of their own children, the community and themselves, and continue to reinforce via summer mailing that we send out to families, back to school nights, even current communications to families. I think even like one officer pointed it out today, like we really need multiple officers on multiple areas around the school. As they found out, you know, they're like, I can deal with this area, but we need to make sure that we're monitoring all these areas and ask for more support to be there. So yes, I think to your point, anytime anyone, you know, sees any behavior like this or any unsafe behavior, really flagging it for us, or if you have the 311 app, as I have been directed by Department of Transportation to download the app, submit a request, and that way it pins and flags where the complaint is in terms of traffic.
And I would say that Lakewood is one of the areas when we met with folks last week that was identified as a trouble spot for double parking, so definitely on radar. Both within the block that the school's on and the block immediately north of where the school is.
All right, I'm sorry we have to move along on the agenda because they do close us. They do kick us out of the station.
Yeah.
So, but I want to thank both of our guests for coming here, and I'm sure that if you want to talk to them individually, they will also be happy to do so. So yes, go ahead. And Alina, do you want to talk about what we're talking about?
So first of all, can everybody hear me? Yes. Okay, so as many of you might know, we have a little bit of problem with arson in the park, specifically on those little free libraries, and people setting them on fire. And so, yeah, I know. I know. So we were lucky enough to have a neighbor who was a metal worker that has donated a little free library that is going to be a metal box. And for Halloween, I wanted to arrange a fundraiser to kind of cut some of the footwork and have a little bit of a party to release the new metal box, filling it up with like ghost stories, maybe some trick-or-treating candy. And in addition to my work as a secretary here, I have a photography studio and I'll be setting it up so that parents can come and we'll take pictures of their kids in their Halloween costumes for a discounted price. Usually a mini package of 6 pictures is like $175. I'm going to discount that down to $35, and that will all go to Patterson Park. However, I will need assistance with marketing, anybody that wants to help make the party bigger, because all I can really do is put the box there and set up my stuff. So if you would like to help with any marketing, with any food, any music, it'd be really fun to just kind of make it into a bigger thing, and have us a little bit more money so that we can get started on like planting more native plants and planting more trees and just moving everything along. So I will put my email down here as well, and would love to see you guys there on either. And this will be a point of discussion. I actually do not have children, so maybe you can give me better insight on this, whether I should have it the weekend before Halloween or Tuesday proper.
The weekend before.
Weekend before? Okay.
Yeah.
So one of those weekend days, and would love to talk with anybody to help make it bigger.
You said food. I didn't realize you wanted food. I can bring some baked goods for you.
Of course, I was gonna ask you.
Speaking of which, Jane, if you would like, there are pre-puffs on the table for there. So
amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So now, Denny, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. But we do have paint going up on some intersections to make the crosswalks more visible. But that is currently at Luzerne and Fairmount is one intersection, the other is Baltimore and Linwood. We do not currently have plans to do painting at other intersections right now. It is possible that other people might have those plans, but PPNA is not currently working on that. It is something that we can keep in mind for the future, and if Patterson Park Public Charter School says that that's something they want to work with us on, we are certainly happy to do that.
Well, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Denny, that's why what I was saying in the chat is there are grants available to do that. So if you wanted, we could send you the.
You just muted yourself, Lindsay.
I was saying we could send you a couple of the grant links if you guys wanted to look at it with the school. And we would, I'd be happy to help also. So if you want to post
Appreciate
your
it.
email, go ahead.
All right, thank you.
All right. We will now end with some community announcements, and I think what I'd like to start with is let's give a proper introduction to Ash. They started 5 days ago at Councilman Cohen's office, and now we can hear their voice. So can you unmute yourself and just introduce yourself?
Sure thing. And I apologize if you can hear my dog in the background. But yeah, my name's Ash Nichols.
If you talk about a dog, that means you have to show the dog. That's the rule.
Never apologize about a dog.
You might see him back there. He's barking at the window. But yeah, so I just started here 5 days ago. I moved to Baltimore 3 years ago from Washington, D.C. I'm coming out of education. I was a teacher and administrator and changing career paths. So I'm going to be with Zeke's office for at least the next 9 months. And yeah, excited to be a part of these meetings.
Okay. Welcome, Ash. And
Nice to
then
meet you.
before we open to any other announcements from the community, I'm just going to talk a little bit about upcoming events. So we got a bunch going on. This Saturday, September 16th, is PPNA's Day at the Orioles. So I've sent out emails out about that, and I will send another one out again. But the Orioles have reserved a space in Camden Yards for us. Tickets are $25. $5 of that ticket will go directly to PPNA. It's also a chance for us to sit together, and if there's anything you want to talk to me about while we're watching baseball, that's an opportunity to do that. So that is the 16th. The 17th will be the last day of the splash pad in the park. Looks like the weather is going to say that's going to be pretty sunny. So I don't know that we're going to do anything in particular for that last day. I mean, things may change, but I don't anticipate it being anything other than just a day to splash water in the park. And I'm going to be there personally, and we're going to try to set up. If you've been to that water feature before, you may know that there are 3 of these plastic water features, and then there are 2 inflatable ones which we have not been using because we don't think they will survive an encounter with kids. So it's going to be the last day though, so we're going to put them up, and that's going to be extra fun. So that is the 17th, and on the 23rd is the community dumpster in our east sector. That will be at Baltimore, the intersection of Baltimore and East. Again, I always want to remind people that the dumpster can arrive at pretty much any time between 7 and 9:30, and they tend to fill up really quickly. So, if you have anything to throw away, make sure you arrive early. And if the dumpster isn't there yet, then I guess you'll just be sitting with me and Abram, the VP of the East Sector, and we'll just do a little bit while waiting for the dumpster. And that is all we have that is all that I have for events with PPNA coming up this month. But does anybody have anything that they would like to announce for the good of the group? I think we are hearing the dog. That was the announcement, yeah, yeah. Yeah. All right, well, then in that case, I guess we get to end on time. So thank you all for coming. And like I said at the beginning of this meeting, we have a bunch of activities planned for you and we have a bunch of projects that we need your help on. So come and talk to us. But otherwise, I'm going to call an end to this meeting. Thank you all very much and have a wonderful night.
Thanks.
Thank you.
They were it down, yeah, this way.
Did they come up with a solution and exclusion?